yes, I bring you my 2021 MT-10. I know there's a lot of videos out there already about this bike, and you know what? I loved it too much that I had to talk about it. You can say this is my 5 likes and 3 dislikes with some nitpicks, which all those nitpicks you can replace and, you know, get those fixed. So you know what? Let's get straight into it. So number 1, the first dislike I gotta say is, like a lot of people out there that have been reviewing this bike, is going to be that gas tank. With the 4.5 tank capacity, you're looking around 30-35 miles to the gallon. If I'm, you know, trying to keep it in eco mode, you know, be in higher gear, lower revs to kind of really get most out of that tank. But you're talking like Honda Civic, Ford Fiesta, Chevy Volt type of gas mileage. Now you're talking an actual car that I'm comparing this bike to. But yeah, so this is the bike that you're gonna have to just plan it out more accordingly, which is just something, I mean, especially too after 100 miles, that's the time that you're gonna be stretch out and take a little breather. All right, so that comes down to number 2, and that's gonna be the throttle. Now, making this list of dislikes, the major one was that gas tank. Everything else, I mean, it's kind of hard to come up with dislikes, but I know with that throttle, it is smooth, but I should say when you're in the lower revs, sometimes it can be choppy. It's not terrible. And then number 3, I guess the brakes and the suspension. The suspension is good. I mean, it seems like it's a good in between. You know, it's not too firm, not too soft, and it takes all your bumps and potholes pretty well. The brakes, I will say, are not as good as my Gixxis 750. That one also has Nissan calipers, but that one is very good stopping power. Now, comparing to this bike, not as good, but they're decent. I will say they're decent. And then there goes the nitpicks. So now a lot of people out there, you know, that complain about, you know, besides the things that I mentioned, they go into, you know, the mirrors, which, as you can see, I did put a little adapter on there by Mototech, I believe, which pushed out the mirrors further, and that solved the issue of seeing my shoulder instead of what's behind me while I'm riding. Now, I know by looking at it, it looks like 2 elephant ears sticking out the front, but yeah, that can be fixed. That was already fixed when I did that. Now, the next thing I will say is going to be the seat. A lot of people complain that the seat is very hard and it's not, you know, plush and soft. Yeah, I would say it's not all that good. I mean, after longer rides, you can feel it, especially after an hour just sitting still, going on the highway. If you're, you know, taking a trip or you're taking a longer ride, that's something that you will feel. But I mean, if you're just going around commuting, if you're just going around, you know, twisties and not just sitting still, going in a straight line, then yeah, you'll definitely get a lot more out of it without getting your bum all sore. But again, especially your MT-10 owners, get that switched out to the comfort seat, which I have ordered, and I'm very curious to see how much of a difference it makes, which supposedly it does. A lot of people like the comfort seat, so I'm very excited to get that. The last thing I forgot to mention is the headlights. Now, the headlights, as I turn them on, you have, you know, this one in the middle. You also have this one to the right of me, and that's your running lights. Now, when you put them on the high beam, yeah, they don't really do all that better. But you know, what can you do? I mean, maybe by switching them out to, you know, more of a brighter LED light or something. Maybe there's something out there, you know, you can switch them out to. But yeah, I think that kind of wraps up the dislikes. I mean, yeah, there's not really many. But you know, I didn't want to end the video with all the bad things about the bike. I mean, no bike is perfect. There are going to be flaws. But yeah, let's get straight into the likes, because I'm ready to talk about those likes. So the first one I should mention for the likes, what I love about this bike, it's going to be the comfort. And you're probably saying like, oh, well, you know, what about that seat you were just talking about earlier? Now the thing about, even if it's the stock seat or if I get the comfort seat, which will add a lot of comfort, I'm sure, it's just very wide. So that's what I love about this seat. It's just very wide, especially when you're sitting on it. You have a lot of room for your bum. You kind of, you know, it's not hanging off. And yeah, it's very comfortable, especially the stance. You know, I'm still sitting pretty upwards. I'm kind of like I'm sitting on my dad's MT-07. I have a slight lean into the handlebars. They're pretty, yeah, the handlebars are just high enough to keep me in that position. And I'm not like on the MT-09. And the one thing about the MT-09 that I didn't like was just I felt like I was on a supermoto, where I was just, my back was completely straight and the tank was just right in your face. But that was just my opinion. I don't know. That was the one thing about the MT-09 that I didn't really didn't care for from sitting on the thing. But yeah, the comfort wise, I mean, I'm 6 foot tall and I'm flat footed. It's around, I think it's 32 inches high, so it's pretty high, similar to my Suzuki Gixxis. But yeah, I would say it's very comfortable. Kind of just fits me very well for my height. And yeah, all right. So number 2 is what you can hear right now. Number 2 is what you can hear. Oh yeah. I would say, I'll put that at 1, but I put it, you know, I started off with the comfort since I was sitting on the bike. But now with number 2, I would say that is the biggest reason why I love this bike. It's gotta be the engine. It's gotta be the engine. I mean, the engine is just unbelievable. Yamaha knocked it out of the park with this bike. You know, that cross plane crank, inline 4 with an uneven firing order. Man, this thing is just, it just pulls and pulls, doesn't want to stop pulling. Got a lot of down low torque. This engine is just, it's a joy. It's a very joy. The more and more I ride it, the more I'm loving it. I know it has the 2015 R1 engine in here, and I forgot to do my helmet strap. As you can probably hear, it's flapping around. So I gotta park somewhere. See, I was too excited. I was just too excited to start talking about the engine. Oh, somebody goes pretty far. Oh, look, I got some horses over there, everybody. Got some horses. All right, as I was saying, yeah, it pulls through all the gears. This bike will wheelie very easy, like its younger brothers. But another thing too is just the it has very good engine braking, just like the MT-07. I'm not really using a whole lot of brake. It's just every time I let go, it has a lot of engine braking. But even that sound, the sound of the inline 4 cross-plane engine, I think is just it's like music to my ears. It's not very high pitched. There's a very low grunt to it. It sounds kind of like a muscle car. I wouldn't say not as much as the MT-07, but it sounds very, very deep. And I know with an exhaust that will bring out this bike just that much more. number 3, I should say. Number 3 is going to be the looks. To me, I think it looks amazing. I know a lot of people are out there probably saying, "How is that? Why would you think this bike looks, looks amazing? It looks ugly. Looks terrible." But I think with this bike, which I will agree, a lot of Japanese bikes either hit it with the good-looking stick or the ugly-looking stick. But this bike, I don't know why. I gotta say, it just speaks to me. I don't know. Looks like a a lot of people say Transformer. To me, it kind of looks like ET's older, jacked-up brother. But either way, it's just, I love the look. It's just very unique, very different, and it's so beefy, especially in the middle. I love how beefy and how wide it looks. And with the added on, that 190 rear tire in the rear, just adds the bulkiness to this bike. Oh man. Woo! Alright, number 4. Now that I'm in 4th gear, number 4. Yeah, number 4. I gotta say, it's gonna be the bang for the buck you get for this bike. You will get your money's worth, I will say that. Coming at 13 grand, you get cruise control, which works really well, especially above or below, around like 7. If you go above 70 miles an hour, sometimes it doesn't like to hold it, from what I've been told. It doesn't like to keep it at that speed. But anything below that, even at 70, around there, I mean, it'll be fine. Cruise control works very well. I feel like I've been spoiled with that. Has ABS and traction control, which is which has 3 modes 1, 2, and 3. 3 being the more laid-back version, which is not really all that laid back. But then you have mode 2, which I'm in currently, which is I tend to leave it at that, more for the street. And then mode 1 is just all out bonkers, just getting all the full power. And they claim you get, now going back to the engine again, see, I just love the engine. They claim you get 160 horsepower and 111 foot-pounds of torque, around there. But yeah, it's not really, they always put it higher than what it is. But when you add it, adding the weight and everything else, it's around 135, and I think 70 to 80 foot-pounds of torque. So yeah, I mean, it's still a lot of torque, a lot of power, just enough power for me. I mean, it's got more than enough power. I don't even think I'll ever put this bike, unless I'm on the highway doing some smackdowns, put it to its full potential. Yeah, you're getting a good run for your money with all the electronics. It has the LCD screen there, which gives you everything that you need to know. To me, it's not cluttered at all. I mean, it's got everything that I need to look at there. Now, one thing about the screen that I'm talking about now, as you've heard before, and I'm just going to kind of run quickly over it, is that the fuel gauge. It's not, I feel like it's not all that well thought of. I don't know why they did it that way, because as you kind of can see from there, but it has 3 bars below the half, and then it has a 1 bar above that. So I mean, I can be riding for so many miles, and it still shows I got a full tank, but as soon as I reach a half tank, it just dropped from full to half. It would be nice, I had maybe a couple extra bars in there, to know where I'm at. But yeah, I don't know why they did it that way. But and then too, when you're coming to a stop, you're in the rural area, you're just commuting, and you're not going at a constant pace. I know that heat can be kind of an issue. This bike tends to get up to 225 rather quickly, and so that's something to consider. I mean, it's also, again, it's a bigger engine. It's also has that big catalytic converter right underneath me, which I'm sure does not help. So I don't know if by taking that out, you know, and putting that white pipe in the slip-on, that might help with that heat issue. But I mainly just feel it in my ankles. If the ankles are exposed, that's what I feel. A lot of the heat just kind of roasting my ankles from time to time when it gets hot. Number 5. Alright, so number 5, I will say that you get, besides your bang for the buck, you know, with all the electronics, you oh, another thing too, before I move on to number 5, is that also is a quick shifter, which I think works. I mean, it's the first bike that I've owned that has a quick shifter, so I mean, I'm not gonna say I know too much about if it's all that smooth or works well, but I mean, from when I've been using it, it works very smooth, very seamless upshifts, especially when you're going at a higher speed. I mean, it's like butter. I know with all the quick shifters, that if you're going from, you know, what I've heard is that at the slower speeds, you know, lower RPMs, it doesn't seem to like it, which this does not. But if you're going at a higher speed and you're up in those gears, it's like butter. Works very well. So now to number 5. Now number 5, I will say, comes with reliability and all the things you can put on this bike to make it more practical. You know, I know Yamaha has a very good reputation. I'm not worried about something that's going to break down or something I need to fix. As I was saying earlier, the reliability, something that I won't have to really think I have to worry about this bike. I'm sure I'll get a lot of miles on it without, I'm hoping, any issues. And also just the things you can do to it. As you can see, I got a mid-screen or a mid-height windscreen in the front here. I also have, you know, there's a couple of little mods that I've done, but from Yamaha, you know, they have bags you can put on this bike. They have, you know, the protection, they have the comfort seat, you know, so you can make it more of a practical bike, you know, where to me I kind of want to call it a sport tour. So yeah, it was never meant to be a sport tour, but I feel like you can, if you wanted to tour in this bike, you know, you can put all the extra stuff on it, and you know, it's very well capable of doing that. You know, I know with this windscreen here, it definitely helped from the stock one, which you really have nothing on it, and it definitely, you know, helps kind of push it up a little bit higher up instead of it just getting straight toward my chest. Now I should say it's a little bit more at my shoulders. So I mean, overall, this bike, you know, it definitely has, I would say, has character. You know, has a lot of character. You know, a lot of people were saying how Japanese bikes have no character, and you don't have much of that fun factor. But with this bike, I would say I definitely do. So I'm really curious to see. You know, hopefully they don't whack it with the ugly stick. And those are the bikes where I feel like the more you look at it, the more it'll kind of grow on you. Which I know the MT-09, you know, the MT-07, I feel like has definitely grown on me. But the MT-09, I don't know. I'm trying to like it, but even in person, seeing it in person, it's just doesn't appeal to me all that much. But for some people, you know, a lot of people it does. You know, so everybody has their own opinion. Even in this bike, some people might think the MT-09 looks great and this looks hideous. But yeah, as for me, it's just yeah, it's the total opposite. But yeah, I mean, if you're able to ride this bike, you know, test ride it. That's the best thing to do before you make your decision you know, I would highly recommend it. Now I'm sure they're gonna, and that's the reason why I also got the 2021 is, you know, I wasn't sure how they would in terms of updating the bike. I was kind of afraid of that they're gonna take away this good looking bike from the first gen and would not look as good as it does now from when they update it. And I might be wrong, you know. I'm really curious to see how it turns out and what they improve on and what they change. I do have a lot more reviews or, you know, impressions of the other bikes that I have, which, just to give you a quick rundown, I also will be putting out a Gixxus 2018 it's a 750 review out there. Also my dad's MT-07, which is also 2018. Also I got a 2020 Z125. My dad just bought a 2021 Z900 RS Cafe, and then my girlfriend also has a Yamaha R3. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and you know, just give you a little more insight on the MT-10. And until next time, this is Kev Lamoto, and see you guys in the next video. Peace.